Okay, today we're going to talk about match day 4 of 8, and we're going to talk about the Tuesday game and Wednesday game that happened today. So, the Tuesday games, there were a lot of games, but the big games to watch was the Real Madrid versus AC Milan and Liverpool versus Leverkusen. Those are the two big games, really. I mean, we can talk about Sporting and Man City. Well, let's get that out of the way. So, Sporting and Man City played, and Man City's been having a rut. I mean, they lost the last two games, and they're hoping that this is a game to get out of the rut, right? And Pet has been very chill about losing. He's saying, hey, it's okay. People expect us to win every game by 5 goals and all this. Really, him coming in this game, he didn't feel like he was serious. Even after he lost this game, it is what it is. That's basically how he felt like. They started off with a bang. Phil Foden got that great goal. And as the game went on, it seems like how many goals did Holland miss? He missed a penalty. Really, Sporting just took their chances, and they were in a mood where the coach is leaving and going to Manchester United. As he said, it was like a gift from God in a way. It was a good vibe. Everybody came out, to say goodbye to him. This was his last game, and he left with a 4-0. I don't think there's much more to this game to really look at. Is there worrying for Manchester City? I'm not. I can't say anything yet. I mean, they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. So even if you look at the percentage and the way they played, Sporting just took their chances. They got two penalties, and they were all penalties. Obviously, people saying the one of them was harsh. They were all penalties. But at the end of the day, they still had 73 possession of the game. They had 20 shots, 6 on target, but Sporting only had 9 shots and 6 on target, and they got 4 goals out of that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, is it to worry? I mean, you could worry that they're not as clinical as they used to be. That's the only worry I would say. But I think in due time, like this is the time where they usually mess up and try new things. I'm still not worried is what I'm trying to say. So it'll be fine. So the other game was AC Milan versus Madrid. So Madrid just got embarrassed at Bernabeu by Barcelona. Not just that, they were also felt that they were embarrassed by the Ballon d'Or awards, where they wanted Vinicius to win. Vinicius didn't win, even though they won Coach of the Year and they won Team of the Year. But their whole focus has been, why did we not get Vinicius this Ballon d'Or? And I heard a thing that apparently, what is it? Vinicius had a party before he won the award. I hope that's true. I hope it's gonna be so much sweeter. But anyway, a lot of journalists were saying, in the practicing just before the game against AC Milan, the atmosphere was quiet. The players are just in a revenge mode. Like they're gonna take it out on their anger against AC Milan. That was the whole thing. AC Milan was gonna come to their home, and they were gonna demolish them, right? So the game starts, and you're hoping, where was that revenge mentality? Where was it? Because watching this game, it felt like they were still sleeping. They were still thinking about the Ballon d'Or, the disrespect, as they would say, of the Ballon d'Or. Because as this game started, I mean, they had the usual run up, right? Like I said, Carvajal not being here, a lot of people are saying Carvajal should have never been even top three of the Ballon d'Or. I'm not even gonna entertain those opinions. But just playing this game, Mendy is just not it. That's what I'm gonna say. I feel like Mendy just signed a new contract and he's like, it is what it is. I'm gonna chill. But Mendy is not it, and the defense, for some reason they're having a hard time keeping goals out, right? Chumeni himself, I mean, this guy, he's not it either. He's just not it. Valverde, it looks like he's tired because he's not getting any help. And the other person I really felt for is Joe Bellingham. Henry did a whole rundown of how Bellingham is the only one who's working his butt off, right? He's making all these run, and Kylian Mbappe, of all people, is just refusing to play number 9. You see him on one side or the other side. When you see Bellingham making that run, no one's following him. Same with Vinicius. I mean, Vinicius got that penalty. After that penalty, and they were back by 1-1, you're assuming they're really going to kickstart the whole game. None of that happened. You know what I mean? They were still in a rut. The AC Milan was still not messing up. They were compact the whole time, and they could have scored more goals in my opinion. AC Milan, right? And even you could say Madrid had 23 shots and they had 10 shots on target. AC Milan only had 14 shots and 9 on target, and they still got 3 goals out of that. The possession wasn't really that much difference. Even passing wasn't really that much of a difference. So I think AC Milan was the better team, and as even the game went on, you're assuming that Madrid somehow is going to pull it through, and they almost did. It was like at the 70 minute or so, what's his name? Rudiger gets a goal back, And you're thinking like, okay, this might be it. This might be the comeback run again. And out of nowhere, they disallowed the goal. Once they disallowed that goal, I knew for a fact they were not gonna win. And not just that, out of nowhere, they conceded another goal. And after that, it was just over. So now it's back to the drawing board. Everybody's going off on Kylian Mbappe, how he's refusing to play number 9. And you got just the vibe is not there. Like, he's trying different things. At this point, people are talking about Ancelotti should be fired. I just said he literally won the Coaches of the Year last year, and they're saying he should be fired now. The conversation are being had. Okay, so they're all the way in the bottom. They're like 18 in the table right now. Not great. Not great. That's basically the red zone. Okay. Anyway, the next game is Liverpool versus Leverkusen. Leverkusen has been outstanding. This is a final that I thought I was going to get in Europa last year when Leverkusen was undefeated and then Liverpool was also in the competition. And you wanted them to match because the time when there was a competition had that Alonso would come to Liverpool. He had an outstanding campaign with Leverkusen. So you're hoping he finishes off with beating Liverpool at the final and then going to coach for them the next year. But sadly, that didn't happen. Atalanta played against Leverkusen. Atalanta won. And Xavi basically decided to stay and really build on what he has had last season and was hoping to have a great campaign in the Champions League this year. Now we have finally both of them playing against each other. And the first half of this game was pretty lame. I would say it was kind of 50-50. You really didn't know how this was going to go. But the second half, everything changed. Okay, I don't know. Again, Liverpool is a team that is just very hard to break them down. Their defense is very solid. I mean, I think they have some of the best defense in Europe right now. And their midfielders are very much like dogs. Like, they run their butts off. They just don't give up. They're a team just not willing to just lie down. And you wanted to see what would happen. You know, Liverpool still has been great this season as well. So this was like a really good match. And we have Gopa, who's been great. Like, he's been having his best season to the point that where's Nunes? No one even talks about Nunes anymore. Same with Luis Diaz. I mean, he got 3 goals in this game. Salah in the first half was not so great. But like I said, the whole team was not so great at the first half. Really, Leverkusen, if you had any chance, it was their first half. After the second half started and Liverpool got that first goal, you kind of saw where this game was going. Liverpool just didn't stop. Mohamed Salah just crosses and then he has Diaz there, strong enough to keep the ball and scores goals. That's basically what's been happening the whole second half. So even if you look at the stats, Liverpool had 22 shots, 8 shots on target. Leverkusen had 12 shots, 4 shots on target. And the possession was actually towards the Leverkusen side, but Liverpool doesn't care. They were just hitting it, okay? And I still think Liverpool was the better team. They're the only team in the Champions League so far has not lost 1 game. That's very impressive. So their next game is against Madrid. It's going to be beautiful because, like I said, they haven't lost a game. And Madrid has no room for error at this point. They have to win the next game they play at the Champions League. They're in the bottom. You know, this is the 3rd game they have lost in the Champions League. That's pretty heavy. That would be a great game to watch. And then on Wednesday today, we had PSG played Atlético Madrid. We had Arsenal play Inter Milan. And Barcelona played Zvezda. And it was a cruise. You know, we're having a great time right now. You know, everybody's happy and everybody's pretty chill to the point that we had Blade took a rest. You know, we let him rest. And his replacement is god dang awful. I mean, it doesn't matter. It was a time to let players chill. The great news is that our front 3 is still lethal. Lewandowski missed few goals. Even Firmino missed some goals. But overall, I mean, we're looking pretty spice, okay? And I hear that a lot of people were upset about De Jong coming back and being the captain again, and the fact that he isn't even playing. Like, people are upset about that. I really don't understand why. I mean, the guy has been hurt for a long time. He's just back, and this is not the time to be talking all smack, you know, trying to make him feel terrible, basically. Let's not do that. We should be trying to proper him up, okay? This is a game that I expected him to start, to be honest, you know? If anything, you want the best players to be rested as much as possible, especially games like this. We don't really get these kind of chances. So even if you look at the statistics, I mean, we were fully in control of this game. We had 70% of the possession. We had 9 shots on target. We took 21 shots, okay? And we got 5 goals. We could have got way more goals. The combination between the front three is still pretty solid. Pedri is still looking great. Mark is looking. I mean, everybody's looking very great, and we have some young kids coming in and taking their time and just getting better. This is how you do it. Slowly put them in games that you can afford to lose. Not lose, but like you can afford to have your top class players rested, right? And this was one of those games. We had Blade rested, like I was saying. Daniel Omar is still getting his foot together, so I like the fact that they're slowly bringing him back. They're not just fully just dropping him in there. Like I said, DeJoin is slowly coming back as well. He's looking great. It was a great game. I mean, I have nothing else to say here. The only bad thing I would say is Kubasi got that big injury. And I guess the scar was really big because after the game, there was Gabby had a picture on his story, whatever, and it looked like they sewed that in already. It looked like a big gash. So luckily he's fine, and they kind of sewed it up, it looks like, and it wasn't like a head injury, or it wasn't like any kind of leg injury, because he's so important. I was freaking out. I think everybody was freaking out when they saw he was on the ground, and everyone was like calling the whole bench to come and help out. But overall, it was a good performance, a good game, and we're off to the next game. You know what I mean? And at this point, to be real, we don't really have, I guess, Atalanta and we have Dortmund on the way, but all these games are pretty doable. But I think just going on before the international break, I think we're gonna be off to a great start. That's all I can say. So the next game that we're gonna talk about is the Arsenal versus Inter Milan. Man, what a boring fest that game was. And I kind of did expect that, because Arsenal is in the moment where they're just having a hard time scoring any goals. Maybe like there's no lethal. Saka's not as lethal as he used to be. Martinello is not at him as well. Trossard, even though I thought he was a clutch player last season, I'm not seeing it. Havart, where is it? Nothing at all. And for Inter Milan, I think truly they were okay with winning with 1 goal. After they scored that penalty, to them, they were okay if they didn't add any more goal. I mean, they were just straight up compact in the middle, as they usually are. And like I said, after that goal, it just didn't matter. And so the first half was just straight up dull. And even the second half when they started, like I said, what is his name? Arsenal basically did everything they could to try to change the outcome of the game. I mean, they had 20 shots. Inter only had 7 shots. And out of those 20 shots they took, they only had 4 of them on target. They had most of the possession because, like I was saying, Inter Milan kind of just backed off and let them do their thing. But there was just no clutch ability. It didn't look like they were ever going to score. There were a few times where they were even in the box and they didn't know what to do with the ball. They were just passing to each other instead of someone actually taking it. So, pretty good, boring game. I would say the results fair. You know what I mean? Like I said, Arsenal, you got to wait for next season at this point. And yeah, that's all I can say on that game. And the last game is the PSG, and it was a home game for PSG. The biggest talk about in this game, I would say, was the Ultra decided to have a banner saying "Free Palestine," and they basically had like a Hamas terrorist person on the banner, and they also had the mosque on there as well. So at this point, France is just, I mean, wasn't it McLaren who said, we're not sending any more weapons to Israel? So they kind of are all about that. But besides the point, they were at home, and the biggest problem the PSG is having that they don't have anybody who's clutch. Dembele is not clutch. As we all know, I'm a Barcelona fan. We had to suffer through this guy for the past almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. Okay. So we're aware of how he is. He is off and on. He's not consistent at all. Same with Asensio, not consistent at all. Brukella, apparently this guy they were talking like, hey, he might be replacing Kylian Mbappe, just not showing up to it. And Atlético Madrid, as you know, they kind of do this thing where they just kind of give you a hard time. They're just look for, when you're thinking they're down, that's when they get you. I mean, even possession. This game was heavily on one side. PSG had 72% of possession in the game. What is his name? They took 22 shots, 9 shots on target. On the other side, Atletico only had 4 shots in the whole game, and they only had 3 shots on target. And they had 28% possession of the whole game. PSG had 871 passes. Atletico only had 350 passes. And they won the game. Even the way they won was Atletico way of winning the game. It's when they least expect it. It happened where, at this point, it's the last minute of the game. Because after the 1-1, the game was pretty boring. Even the goal that, what's his name, PSG got it was an obvious mistake. It was kind of a mistake Atletico Madrid does as well. But the second goal was so silly. Like the last stretch of the game, Nunez and what's his name, Hakimi were both okay. These are both defenders. Both of our left and right backs. They're both are all the way up front, and Hakimi makes a great run. He could have scored. I don't know why he didn't shoot, but he decided to pass to Nunez, and he completely misses it. And he doesn't miss it like in an obvious way, but I think the ball was just way too ahead of him. So counterattack from that. So they missed that, and immediately the goalkeeper gets the ball and crosses it to Griezmann. And Griezmann, like a veteran, okay, he slows the play down and waits for players to come up front and go forward. And he gets a great cross to, the guy who always come through for Atletico when they really need him more. Who do you think, guys? Not Alvarez. Not Alvarez. Come on. Not Alvarez. Correa, cool as a cucumber. As many times last season, he came through at the last minute, did the same thing, just cut the ball, and just picked the side, and goal. And the game literally, they didn't even bring the ball back to the middle. They just said, it's over, it's done. So it's really going to hurt PSG because they need to find somebody who's lethal. At this time, they just don't have anybody who's lethal enough. So that's why a lot of people are not talking about them being any kind of sort of the favorites of the Champions League because they really don't have anybody that's lethal. So, and this game showed they lost against an experienced Atletico Madrid team who just knows how to win a game when it really gets down to it. So, yeah, that was about it. And, yeah, that's all I got.